Now, the more contentious ones, they seem to have happened in Tanzania, in Kenya, and then in Ghana. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those and then zoom in on Ghana. Let's take Tanzania first. In Tanzania, the state-owned Dar es Salaam Water Services Authority was restructured into two. Now you see a trend emerging here. Anytime there's going to be restructuring of the water services sector in any of these countries, let's divide it up into two. Why do we always divide it up into two? The same argument. There's the poor and then there's the urban rich. There's going to be private sector participation. No one is going to be happy to participate in the rural sector. They will all be interested in the urban one. Now, there were attempts that were made to grant a $136 million contract to a multinational corporation, and that failed miserably because of massive public demonstrations on that. The Tanzanian government realized that the direction that these demonstrations were taking, it was not going to be very favorable for the government. Therefore, they put a halt to it. Said, look, let's suspend these deliberations and take a second look at how we will restructure this, involving the multinationals, and everyone will have a win-win situation. That was a situation that was never achieved. While it was on suspension, the African Development Bank continued its efforts to promote privatization, bring it back onto the agenda. And what did it do? It provided $47 million loan to the Tanzanian government. And that loan supposedly was to help them build necessary infrastructure in Dar es Salaam to improve the supply of water to the people. That was what it said on paper. But civil society organizations took it up. They read between the lines, said, look, this is to prepare the organization to make it more attractive to our multinational corporations. This is not going to happen. It was much like seed money. So the IMF continued, insisting on the privatization of Dar es Salaam Water Authority, and made it a condition for Tanzania to participate in the highly indebted poor countries initiative. This was an initiative that a lot of African countries qualified, but in the case of Tanzania, they pushed them in that direction. You have to privatize your water services authority before you are able to participate in this. What was Tanzania benefit from participation in the HIPIC initiative? A lot of loans were going to be written off. That is very good for the government. And the people yet against stepped up. If other countries in Africa are not doing this, there's no point, we should be doing it. So that one again is one that is still ongoing, that is still a problem. Now let's take the case of Kenya, which is the more interesting one. In 2001, a feasibility study was conducted to find out if the idea of privatizing water would be something that the people will be able to afford. The feasibility study report suggested that water rates will go up by about 40%. This was an election year, and the Moi government realized that this would be suicidal. If they were to push up water rates by 40% in an election year, definitely they were going to lose their elections. So what did they do? They rejected it. The Moi government rejected, pushed the World Bank back, saying, we're not going to participate in this. And we don't want to fund them for it. The World Bank decided also, the IMF, decided that financial support was not going to be provided to the Moi government. The very interesting result here was that just by flirting with the idea of privatizing the water services sector, the Moi government also lost an election in that year. So either way, it was not going to win, just by bringing up the whole idea of privatization onto the agenda. So those are situations that we've seen in sub-Saharan Africa. Now we're going to focus on the main empirical research place for our research, the case of Ghana. What happened in the case of Ghana was that, again, along similar lines, in 1995, the government of Ghana decided that, look, we need to review the water services sector and see how well it was performing, and see what could be done to improve its performance. This is where some of the issues that we brought up in the paper are highlighted. Economic-based justifications were used to include things like profitability, efficiency, and economy. They were provided to argue that the water services sector was performing poorly. And the cooperation that was established in 1965, the government argued that this was supposed to be one that would provide an essential service. Now, in trying to measure its performance in 1995, they were using economic-based justifications like profitability. And then, I'm going to come to the next slide and show how the profitability was calculated. The government report noted that due to inefficiencies of the Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation, about 35% of Ghanaians did not have access to safe drinking water. And to the government, this was unacceptable. This was developing an argument for privatization. Immediate action was therefore required, the government would argue, to prepare the Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation for privatization. In 2001, in preparation for privatization, the government decided to hike up rates by 95%. And the argument there was that we've got to bring it up to cost recovery levels. Our reading of this is that we're going to make it attractive for the private sector to participate.